said what? I know you said that, but I still was like, not. Because you know what the thing with Jazz said that like if you kill somebody, if you kill them in the past, then it could change the.
Algorithm that could
He he had the algorithm and it could set off all the things. I just didn't understand how if he died, that was gonna end the world.
Because he was the trigger.
He was the
His
trigger.
death was the trigger.
But what made his death the trigger?
It was
Because
that it was that machine he had on his wrist. It's like a pacemaker type of thing.
information.
Oh, well, I was like, and then she killed him and it was fine. So I was like, all right, bro. I was like, bro.
That part I thought was like weird. I was like, wait, so he
Jazz
shot him
understood it way more than I did. I ain't get that shit at all, bro.
again. I feel like just
After they explained the whole invert, I was like,
Hold on, hey, what you saying?
I said I think they just left stuff out weirdly, which
Yeah. I think it would have been
makes no
like
sense.
it would have been like a 3 hour. It'd have been like a 3.5 hour movie if they kept it all
I
in.
don't even think it would have been alone. I think if you just take a little more time, let the dialogue breathe a little bit more, and just let people speak, let people explain things just a tad bit longer. Also, the thing with we already saw it, so therefore it's true, and also we already saw it, so therefore it has to happen. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because like time is linear no matter.
It's like the butterfly effect.
It's not even that. It's like time's linear no matter where you go. So if you already saw it in the forward time going backwards, then eventually once you go backwards, you're gonna hit that same moment in time, and it's gonna happen exactly how you saw it because of how you saw it. So that makes sense to me. But I was kind of annoyed because like the point when he first goes through the inverted machine, right? And he's like, I'm gonna go save her. No, I'm gonna go stop him from getting the rest of the algorithm after they did the little heist on the was it fire truck. Um, fuck, they're really gonna fuck me up now. I'm hot now. Yeah, okay. So the heist on the fire truck. That whole bit where he gets in the car and has to drive and do all that stuff and bounce the thing back annoyed me because I was like, well, this is just wasted time. Like all the stuff you're not explaining could be explained within this. I get this scene is there to explain to show like it's gonna happen no matter what based on what you saw. But at the end of the day, it just felt like I'm watching the scene again and it has no purpose because it doesn't mean anything. It's just us understanding the concept better, which seems kind of a late thing to do. But do you know what I mean? You know, remember that part where he started driving when he went back to
Yeah,
the
you
party
can
the first
call
time?
it. Jazz said that's the whole point of the name, though, ain't it?
Yeah, but
like the
okay,
spelling
but I'm saying
is the same way whether it's forward or backwards. The scene is the same whether it's inverted or whatever the correct.
yeah, I I completely understand that. What I'm saying is I just watched it, so why I gotta watch it
She
again?
said you just don't like it. Is all it is.
That's my thing. No, it's not even I don't like it. It's just like I feel like we're wasting time. I know what happens. Like use this time to explain more of what this is, or to move on to the next thing. Why am I watching this same scene again? Because it's not even from a different perspective. It's just like, oh, that car that was turned over, that was actually John David, and now he's backing up, and this is how this all happened. I'm like, okay, you could have just said that. Like I didn't need to see it. It just felt like a waste of time. That scene specifically did. Um,
Also, what did Priya have to do with the story?
so Priya was so he went to Mumbai. I don't know some nation in the east, and yeah, some
In
nation
the East.
some some Indian nation,
The whole
and he
East.
was like Asian nation, and he was going to see the arms dealer, and he thought it was the husband, but she was actually that was a front for her, so she ran the ammunition thing. So the ammunition that they found that was inverted, and he was like, I don't know the scientist was like, I don't know where the ammunition comes from. We just have it, and we're studying it. He's saying, I recognize the bullet. I know where we can get a contact to figure out where the bullets come from. He goes there, tries to find the dealer, finds Priya, and she tells him, I'm the one who supplies the bullets. I don't know where TeneT's coming. I don't know where it's coming. I don't know who's sending it back. Somebody else is sending it back, not me. But they're getting it from me in the future. And he's like, okay. And then she sends him to Michael Caine, which then sends him to Sato. He sends him to Elizabeth Debicki with the fake Goya. Because he goes to him as like, I had this in my head the other day. Now I lost it. Okay. Priya supplies the bullets. Priya sends him to Michael Caine. Michael Caine is like, if you want to figure out about TeneT or about like who the guy who's involved with the bullet stuff, you have to talk to Sato because he has to do with the inversion stuff. And so if you want to get in with Sato, you need to meet his wife, and then she'll introduce you. And so that's why he takes it to her. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
And then I was confused about why he kept going back to Priya, but Priya knows about TeneT already, and she knows about the time travel. So she lied to him at the front, and she says that she was like, we can't tell the future. We're doing. We already know the future, so therefore I'm not supposed to tell you it, so that you live it out the way it was meant to happen. Because if I tell you, you'll try to change it. Something along those lines.
So you understood stuff, it seems.
Yeah, because I was really paying attention. I was just trying to, as I was watching, I was double tracking, and like by the time we get to points where it's like, oh, okay, so I definitely like the point when I said like that moment where we didn't need that moment where John David reverses back for the first time, and we see how the scene played out, but in reverse. During that time, I was like, okay, I don't need none of this. This is just to show me stuff. I'm gonna think about what happened, and I was like, okay. And then I caught back up with the narrative, and then figured it out. What I don't remember, and I know because they explicitly say it, and I didn't pay attention, so I don't really know. The Pentagon shaped prison. Why was it built? It was built for the algorithm to be there. I get that, but do they explain how they know about it? They do though, right? Because they have a map, they have a floor plan of it.
You got anything on that one?
Because earlier in the movie, they have a floor plan of the Pentagon thing that they go to at the very end to fight the big war scene or whatever. And
I do agree. Though stuff like that should have been explained a little bit more because it's just kind of like a loose end. Because they didn't say why they had the floor plan, but they had it.
Yeah, because
I guess that's just spy stuff, just espionage. You just get it stuff,
but they have a conversation about it because he's like, this place is as big as the Pentagon, but I don't understand because this is before they knew about before John David knew about the algorithm. So he was like, what's in the center of it that they're hiding? Because there's like a pit in it that's deeper than the Pentagon. And he was like, I don't know what's under there, and that's what they were discussing. Like I said before, the algorithm. So, because at the very end when they went to that place in the desert to the Pentagon place, I was like, what is this? I don't know where this is. I don't know what they're doing. Because I was like, okay, I get like she's going to the boat at the time when she jumped, and I assume like as soon as she said I'm gonna go back to that boat, I was like, oh, the girl she saw jump was her in the future, right?
Okay, so
that's what I thought as soon as she said it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so what was the whole ending part? Like,
Which part?
what I'm talking about, like the last like 30 minutes or so. Like,
Oh, so like the final battle.
what were they doing underground and all that good stuff?
So the final battle scene, right?
They set off the album.
So
To
underground.
set off the bomb.
So underground, which was also underneath in the entire place, which is underneath the buildings as well, right? You can access it through the buildings too. They had big inversion machines, and they had soldiers going into the inversion machines and soldiers coming out.
Yeah, I saw that part. Yeah.
So you said soldiers on either side fighting the same war. So the thing would be the soldiers.
Oh yeah, because old boy's finna detonate the shit.
Exactly. So they were there just to guard the debt, so nobody would mess with it while it was being detonated, because they were going backwards, so they had already seen that this was going to happen to some degree. And this was the point where those two lines of time travel are intersecting, right? And so they didn't know what the moment would be, whether it would go off or not, but they just knew that somebody was going to be there to try to stop them.
And Elizabeth Debicki was with old boy because if he was trying to leave. He was gonna kill himself, and then it was gonna explode the whole world.
Exactly. And she was there to simply just stall him while they.
And then she killed him anyway.
She killed him anyway after she knew it was good.
But also, I don't get why they took the body. That's the part I don't get. Because you remember she throws him off the boat, and then she leaves with Neil's friend, his contact, and they have Kenneth Branagh strapped to the boat. I'm like, he's dead. Why do you need him? Why do you need the body? And I guess
I will say,
I
and then
guess they need the body so that the other Elizabeth Debicki doesn't find it. Maybe. I guess that's it. Yeah.
I did like how it showed, like at the end, that like she was the woman that jumped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember she said he left,
Mm-hmm.
so she had to get rid of the body because she had to
Okay.
still think
Okay.
he left.
So that's the part I missed. So she said he left.
Yeah, she said when they got back to the boat,
He was already gone. Yeah.
and she
Okay.
saw
So
the girl jumping off.
so they had always killed him then. Okay.
Yes.
I got you. That's the part I was like, because for whatever reason I just assumed that when she got back there, he was there waiting on her. And I was like, but he's dead, so nobody's there. So did that fuck up the timeline? But if you
She
saying
made that call for them to come back.
yeah, so the other Sato she meets is another Sato in a different point in the timeline. I got
Yes.
you. Okay. All right, that makes sense to me then.
And then the Aaron Taylor Johnson part at the end, when old boy was like, "I've known you for years, and you just met me."
That part made me emotional. I was like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, John D. Washington, he did a great job crying though, didn't he?
When I watched it, I was like, oh, this is just Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who.
Somebody else on Twitter said it.
There's a storyline in like season 5 of in season 4 of Doctor Who where the Doctor meets a woman who's a Time Lord like him, and she knows him. She knows his name, his real name, and nobody else on the show knows his name. She doesn't say it out loud, but she whispers it to him, and he's like, "There's only one way I would ever tell you my real name," and he doesn't say why, but and then he tells her, and then she tells him that they're married, and that they've been married for hundreds of years. And he's like, we've been married? The Doctor's like confused because this is the first time meeting this woman. And then at the end of this episode, this woman dies, right? And so the storyline in Doctor Who is this woman he meets, and it's a really great idea, is that they're time travelers in opposite directions. So the first time the Doctor meets this woman who has been his wife for hundreds of years, she dies. But the last time he meets her is the first time she meets him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he meets her. The final time he sees her is the first time she meets him, and in the middle of that they get married, and then like I said, they go in opposite directions. This is essentially what TeneT is, and I saw like, oh, that's River Song, that's Doctor Who, which is basically John David meets him the moment he dies, and then John David meets him for the final time. No, John David meets him the time when Neil dies. And then Neil meets John David after John David has already had like, oh, we've been friends for a long time. Like, I've already known you. And then he sends him back. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
because I was like, because when they showed the little pin on the back, I was like, that's gonna come into play. It wasn't really a twist because I was like, it's somebody important, right?
I did think that Robert was probably going. I thought he was going to get killed at the end, but I guess not.
He
I thought
technically
Aaron
does.
Taylor Johnson was going to kill him.
He technically does get killed at the end though, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson knows that he's gonna die.
Right. Hey man, it went over my head. I'll tell you that much. I don't get it.
No, I'm saying, but because Robert Pattinson does die. You see him die, right?
Where?
When they was trying to keep him from setting off the bomb, that body that was
Yeah, the body that was Robert Pattinson.
That's Robert Pattinson. The little decal,
Inverted.
little lamp, whatever it's called.
Little what?
Not a lamp.
I don't know.
Lanyard.
You talking about when he stepped in front of when that person stepped in front of John
Yes.
David when he shot?
Yes, that was Robert
right.
Pattinson.
I didn't know it. It went too fast.
Same thing on this book bag.
I didn't notice that shit. It went too fast. I was like, I know. I thought that was the person he with. I thought that was Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No, that was Robert. That was Neil.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's why it's tragic because John David knows he's gonna die.
Yeah, and he was like,
John David was like, "What if can we change things? Like, if we know what happens, can we change things?" And Robert's like, "Hey, we already saw it. It is what time has happened already."
So Robert got down there and got shot.
So what I thought was gonna happen was Robert was gonna go back and then get shot in that moment, but he didn't. So he was on the inverted team, right?
Because he switched.
Yeah, he said, I thought you was inverted, and he said, "Yeah, I came to help y'all. I saw that y'all needed some help."
and then he
I
did
didn't
that.
know he got killed. I didn't see that went very quick. I didn't see
No,
that.
they don't show you how he got there, which is
Yeah.
very strange
Just
too.
see him there.
Yeah,
when they
now
get up to the
yeah,
gate.
that's why I didn't think
Because
about it. I
you
was
got
like, he didn't get
how
there.
you knew was by the thing on his book bag.
Exactly. So you remember that moment when they're about to leave the battlefield and it's Aaron Taylor Johnson. Does he even have a name? I don't know. Neil and John
He was
David.
just Aaron Taylor Johnson, I guess.
Yeah, and John David are standing there, and they each give a third of the algorithm to all three of them, right? And then what was it? Aaron Taylor Johnson was like, "Yeah, you got to go through the inversion machine one more time because you have one more duty in this mission." But Robert Pattinson doesn't know that he dies, so he gives the thing to John David, and he has to go back one more time, and we don't see him make it there. He just when he's there, he's already there because he's already been inverted through that timeline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. No, I did like the end when he was like, I've known you for what he said, 30 years or something like that, or a certain amount of time. And he said, I've known you for a long time. You've only known me for a minute, but you will, or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, they're like, for me, it's the end of a great relationship. For you, it's just the beginning, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I thought that was very poignant. And when he cried, I was like, that's great. I was like, all right.
You know why?
I ain't know why he was saying
Like,
that.
yeah, that's
You don't know
Yeah,
why?
like,
You
hey,
didn't know
that's
why he was
beautiful. It's like
crying.
I
He
said,
was crying
after a
because he was
while,
like,
I just started liking all the set pieces and the music because I ain't know what the fuck was going on, bro.
so you didn't know why he was crying?
No, and I didn't know what the fuck was happening. No, I thought he was just gonna leave, and I was like, okay, that's it. Like we're done. Like
The
our
reason he's
time.
crying is because he's like, I just saw you die. Like I know you.
I didn't know he died. I didn't see that.
I know. Maybe when you watch it again, you're like, oh, I get it. Because basically Robert Pattinson is gonna go do the final mission, and then he's gonna get shot. He's gonna go. He's leaving to die essentially. And then John Davis like, that's why he asked him. He was like, what
What
if we
final
could
mission
change
you about to
things?
go do? You talking about?
he
Because
had to go back.
he has to go back one more time. He has to go invert it one more time.
Oh, and then when he go back, he gonna get shot.
So remember when Robert Pattinson is like he talks to Aaron Taylor Johnson right before he leaves on the helicopter. He gives John David back his piece of the algorithm, so John David has two now, right? And he asked Aaron Taylor Johnson, was I down there already and did I unlock the gate for you? He's like, you're the only lock picker who could. That's what Aaron Taylor Johnson was. And he's right, because he's the guy who opens the gate and then gets shot.
Oh yeah, because
And he's like,
you're the
okay.
only guy who
And
could.
then Aaron Taylor Johnson basically says, you got one more job to go back through. And then Robert's like, all right, I'm heading out. And he's about to go back through the thing. I don't think he knows he's gonna die, but John David definitely knows. And John David's like, but what if we know, man? Like, what if I saw you and I know we can change things? And then Robert's like,
Yeah, like no.
you already saw it. You know what I mean? It is it's, whatever happens is gonna happen already.
And then that's when he said, we still you and me still have plenty of time, so
Yeah, exactly.
it's okay.
Yeah, to some extent.
And then he went and killed Priya.
Yeah. Which
And I was like, yeah, I guess she the bad guy all of a sudden. I don't know. I'm gonna tell
You
you.
know, all of a sudden.
I didn't know it was the beginning.
She told him when they was talking, she was like, what good is our word? She was letting him know right then.
When she say that?
he goes to see her again. He's like, he's like, you can't. He's like,
it was like the second time.
Yeah, he says to her, you can't hurt Sarah. And he's like, you got to give me your word. And she's like, what good is our word?
Yeah. Man, hey.
I think she's trying to kill her because she knows about TeneT, and I assume he doesn't.
And she said she talked about tying up loose ends.
Yeah.
And he left her she was a loose end. She like, if you ain't gonna tie it up, I'm tied up. He tied up.
He got her. But did you at least get that John David was the one who started TeneT?
By the end, when he said protagonist, I was like, oh yeah, he must be.
He's the guy who started it, and he's the guy who's been sending back the bullets, who just set the whole thing in motion to stop Sato, essentially.
Yeah, but then I kind of got the.
Which is a weird thing for the movie. You know what I mean? Like, because Neo makes that point is like the real power is in the bomb that doesn't go off, but nobody knows about all the things you prevent or whatever.
Yeah.
Which makes sense in the context, but also was like, so you just started TeneT only to stop Sato in this one moment? That's great. Did a lot. That's a lot of work just to stop one man and stop ending the world, huh?
Well, that's what I was saying to you earlier. He didn't really have like I think backstory on him would have been great because it would have gave some like insight to why he doing what he doing. He just doing it he just doing it. Just be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
I don't think you need backstory. I don't really care about what he did before this. You know,
but I have no incentive. Like I don't understand why he doing what he explained it right
like Neil
there.
has no backstory.
Yeah, but at least he's a kind of fleshed out character. Like you actually care about him. I ain't know nothing about John David. I'm like, I don't know this about this. Like I don't know. It just I found myself like looking for more Robert. I was like, I need him to be on the screen more. This dude great. But
I thought he was my favorite. I mean, this might be my favorite Robert Pattinson performance. I really like. That's
it
kind
ain't
of.
my favorite Robert Pattinson,
I
but
think.
it's a
This is the performance I've always wanted him to do. He's playing like a real person.
he did it in Lighthouse and it was fantastic. So
He's playing like a real person. He's kind of playing a version of himself, also kind of playing a version of like Chris Nolan. He's just playing like
oh,
a,
he definitely Chris Nolan in this movie.
but he's essentially playing like a human being. He doesn't play human beings a lot. He plays like either grimy dudes or like crazy lunatics, like or like people who are like mentally retarded. But here he's just playing like a really charismatic dude, and he was like really emotional. Cause like when he was watching John David and fuck, what's the nigga's name? John David and Eric
I
Taylor,
still want to see World War Z myself. So
World War Z.
yeah,
Why you want to see that?
he's in it.
He's not in World War Z.
He's in one of them World War movies. Yeah, he is. I thought no, it's Lost City. Is he? My bad.
Oh, I'm like World War Z. I need to watch that again. I didn't see him in it. Yeah, he's very good in that, but he's also playing like a weirdo in that as well. Um, but
Well, he's a great character actor. So.
yeah, for sure. There's that moment where he's seeing the dude line up the tripwires in the tunnel to the algorithm bomb, and and that's when he decides to like go back through the inversion, get back on the right side of history, right side of time, and try to stop them with the fucking Humvee that's beeping at them, that's blowing at them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
part's really great because he's really emotional. He's like, "Stop, no!" Like he's really good in that moment. And again, it's very. That whole part was chaotic. 'Cause I had no idea what was happening in the moment until
You talking about the whole car
because
part?
not the whole car part, the whole part, the whole siege on that Pentagon part. Because I was like, wait, are there? Because I didn't look. Okay, I didn't know why they had guns and stuff. I was like, nobody's here. What are you doing? Just walk in. But apparently there were guys on the other side, and I was like, wait, so are the inverted there just to set diversion so that it looks like it's crazy stuff happening? No, but like now the soldiers on the other side, on the inverted side, shooting too, stopping them from coming in. I was like, so what's going on? Like it was so confusing because you couldn't even tell. I didn't know there were bad guys there. I didn't know who were the bad guys. They were hard to see, but it was chaotic and it was really beautiful in a lot of moments. Like that amazing moment where the inverted person, no, person on the right side of history, like not inverted, got caught up in an inverted grenade. Remember that bit?
Yeah, yeah,
That part was dope when she got caught in the wall. She's like,
yeah, yeah. I was like, damn.
and
I like one of some of the legs to be sticking out the hole. I thought that would have been fine. But
but I just thought it was cool, like the way they would see boulders coming and they were like, oh fuck, there's an explosion back there. We got to move in the inverted time that's about to happen opposite. So we need to be aware of this. Oh, it was a lot. It was a lot.
it was a lot. I think it was very convoluted. I didn't think it had to be either. Um, I thought you could have got to that point. I thought you could have told this story in a much more like cohesive way. Damn, I didn't mean to pomade my hair, but yeah, I was like, yeah, a lot of it went over me. I ain't gonna hold you.
I think with a rewatch, you're gonna like it a lot more. To me, like all this,
But that's the thing. I didn't dislike it. I liked it a lot. I was
that's it.
like,
But
this
I
is
think
good.
you'll like it more if you watch it again. What I'm saying is, when I was watching it, I was essentially getting most of it, and the stuff that I didn't get, I didn't care about because I love just the look and the chaos of what was happening at the end. Somebody said like the very ending, like the all explosions is like running through hell. Like you're so disoriented by stuff going backwards and forwards. You can't tell who is who, who's good, who's bad, who's where, who isn't. In the background you see people running backwards and other, shooting stuff that's coming into bullets, all this stuff. And I was like,
It's a marvel of a creation. Like I've never seen anything like that before.
oh, especially that ending. I mean, yeah, the whole part where they go into the 747 again, where they're going back to the plane.
Oh my gosh, that might have been my favorite part of the
That
whole
I mean,
movie.
that whole part was amazing, especially when they're first going in and you see the fire going back into the plane. the water from the hose coming back, and then they go in, and then the whole backwards fight in the opposite direction.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was
That was
amazing.
that was dope. Yeah, that was.
It like, and he did it, like he made something that like I've never seen before, but at the same time, like, the story just don't have to be so like convoluted. And in the beginning, like when they were explaining inverse, she was like, he was asking questions, she was answering them so fast. He like, and how does this work? And then like, all right, cool, you got it. Now let's go. I'm like, wait. I need y'all to do it one more time. Explain it one more time, because I don't know.
I was wild because I was like, yo, who is this lady? Why is he just showing up at this place and like saying tenant and she's just explaining this and then now he's out? That was baffling to me. I mean, I called it. I was like, I gotta pay attention because she's explaining how inversion works, but she didn't even know either. She was like, I don't know. I mean, they sending it back. We studying it.
She said, hey, it just happened. If you put your hand over and pretend like you drop something, it's good. I was like, all right.
But it clicked for me because she said you'd never be able to catch it if you had never touched it. And remember, like when they was fighting and he reached out for that gun and it came
to him. Yeah,
that's when it clicked that he was fighting himself.
He was. Oh, see, you understood it. I was sitting there like, damn, that's cool.
Because it would be other stuff that he would just like put his hand out and it was there. I'm like, he been through this before.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I forgot about that.
She was like, you basically like you said it all in motion. She's like, you never could have picked that bullet up and made the bullet
if you
move.
didn't already.
You never touched it to begin.
So hey, maybe
so it was like
maybe it wasn't.
He was the one actually sitting there back, or like he just did all this.
So maybe it wasn't as convoluted. I just didn't pay attention.
No, they don't explain. They need an extra 20 minutes to explain this stuff better because they don't. Because there's
she could have spent a little bit more time explaining the whole inversion thing.
But not even her, just all of it. Like the moment when he's in the car going backwards, inverted, and he blows him up, but he goes backwards and he freezes. Remember that part?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck happened?
Well, in inversion, they say that like fire becomes ice, and
so instead of it's fire, it's really cold. I got that through me just like being like, okay, like fire, if it go backward, it's gonna be cold. They didn't say it wasn't for them. I just had to put that together my damn self.
No, they didn't, but he does say it. He does say it.
I ain't hear that nigga.
and the moment at the very end when the girl gets caught in the wall from the backwards bomb not exploding, she probably dies of an explosion because it's at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Because it backwards back.
Certain people, you didn't see as many people coming out as you saw going in. They said if you never see yourself going into the machine or coming out of the machine, you're not coming back.
Yeah. Oh, and that would make sense by Robbie turned around because he knew that he was supposed to die, so he didn't go back. He changed it. Okay, you get it.
But
I was like, I'm inverted. I don't know what the fuck going on.
But okay, but the part they didn't explain well, or at least not at all. You're supposed. I didn't need it to be explained, but it just happens. Like he gets the ice in the car, right, and then he wakes up in the place, and they're still inverted, but they're in like some plastic, and I'm like, well, how does this work? They don't need to breathe here. Are they just like
the special air is being pumped in because they can't breathe the regular air, so they can take the face mask off in there.
No, I get that point, but like they're in a vehicle traveling somewhere. So is that person going back?
That's why they said the shipping container. That way they could seal it, have the air that they can, the inverted air in there, and they don't have to wear the face mask all the time. The oxygen tank.
Who's getting it there? That's my.
It's the background people.
Exactly, but then they'll have to go backwards. You know what I mean? Like they're taking it there in real time, but I don't know. I get like I don't like exactly. I don't need that explained. I was like, okay, the air's getting pumped in there. They're gonna get out at Oslo and use the other machine. Fine, that's all I really need, honestly. Like the thing with the wound, I didn't understand that either, but I just assumed like, well, if time's going backwards, then probably the wound's healing backwards as well. It's not healing.
Yeah, that's
not healing. It's just going in reverse.
I put a lot of that together myself. It wasn't them.
It was gonna be a lot.
Yeah, but I remember she said if you get hit with an inverted bullet, it's way worse than a regular. And I was like, how? But cool, whatever. It's the same bullet.
Like how? It's just like she just says it's devastating for your body, which like I get it because it's like it's not only is traveling through you, but it's traveling through you through backwards time. So it's like you're moving forward, interacting with something going in the opposite of like. I mean, I assume like that kind of paradoxical like thing would be like devastating somehow. What was it? There was one more thing. Dang, what was it? Oh man, it's gonna kill me now.
They just talked really fast for me, and I was like, "You don't have to speak this fast. You can slow it down some."
I thought Elizabeth Debicki was great as Sarah.
I thought she was really good too. I thought Kenneth Branagh was kind of weird. I ain't gonna hold you.
I mean, a critic I saw the other day, not saw, but I listened to the other day. He was like, he thought he was terrible. Like, he thought he was truly awful in the movie. And
Yeah,
then
see, I'm not willing to do that on the first watch, but I did think it was weird. I didn't. I don't know if it was good or
but then
bad. I just think it was weird.
somebody else said he thinks that Kenneth Branagh is going to get like Oscar nom. He's the only guy who's probably going to get an Oscar nom from the movie.
No, not at all.
I don't think that either. I think
Elizabeth Debicki had Oscar nom before he do,
probably. I would say so as well.
and Robert Pattinson.
People don't like her character in this movie though. They think it's like she's always like my son, and they're like, this is the world is coming to an end. She's worried about her stupid son. Like they think she's kind of whiny and kind of weirdly not a full character. But also,
John David kind of whiny in this movie too. So.
Not really. He's kind of stupid, but he's not.
Yeah, and I hated that. Why this nigga so stupid?
It was so funny. Like he's watching the dude like get beat up
He's
watching the dude get beat up with the gold brick, and I'm like, so you gonna get caught? Like you ain't here to do stick it up? Like you a whole espionage? You know niggas be watching. Like, you know.
Bro, when they got on that man's suit, I was like, so y'all gonna make this a dumb, ugly, whack nigga.
He had a nice suit though. They weren't clowning the suit.
No. She said you got the what was the company she used? She said you got a Brooks Brothers suit on. So she clowning that man.
What's his name?
And Michael Caine said how about you put a better suit on, nigga? That's basically what
he said I know a tailor.
That's his disguise. He's like, you can't go into that world where they wear $20,000 suits with a $500
suit on.
Yeah.
And I think that made him. He was corny, and he tried to. I don't know. He tried to sound cool. He tried to sound cool, but he really wasn't. And then that part, that part when he
kind of played to his naivety of the whole thing. Like he didn't know nothing.
But then it turned out that he wasn't naive, and he started all of it.
There was some
in
of
the future, but his present self don't know anything about it.
But he knew about it because he said, "I'm the protagonist. I do this."
No, he don't.
He didn't know about the future.
He just knows that that's his part in all of this.
Yeah, that's just what that's what the old lady called him, and he was just like, "Well, I guess I'm the one leading the charge." So then, I think what was it? There were moments in the movie like I was like, "Is he not afraid they just gonna pop this man in the back of the head?" Like, because he was walking into dinner, I'm like, they could just take you somewhere and shoot you. Like, don't be acting all big.
He was acting like he couldn't get killed.
Like that moment, he was like, meet me at the dock and be ready for that. I'm like, I'm not going on no boat with you, bro. You said you gonna cut my throat and stick my balls in my throat. Like, come on. Yeah, he was a little too freewheeling with that stuff. But
and then the part when he was spying on him, then they found him, they beat his ass, and it was like,
that part was.
And I was just like, hey, man.
You know what part got me? Like when I fully checked out for like a good minute or two was when they was chasing back to the house and all the inversion stuff was happening like big time with the car and stuff. And then he gets back to the machine, and then Kenneth Branagh is like talking backwards to him through the inversion.
And he was talking to it.
And then he was like, well, it was filtering through a machine said backwards, so they would get it correctly on the other side, on both sides, right? But it was happening double, and Kenneth Branagh was wearing that mask, and the mix was so loud, the music was. I was like, I can't understand a thing.
I did see a lot of people say you can't really hear them talking over the mix. I didn't think it was. I could hear most of it. I didn't think it was that bad.
No, okay, go ahead.
It was a few points where I was like, yeah, I can't really hear you because the music is loud in the back. But most of the time, I could kind of hear it over it. But
bro, there were times like the first time he meets Priya, Nate.
I'm used to listening to a bunch of loud stuff with like two things on at the same time. So I guess I could kind of do that.
I'm cool with that, but like the first time he meets Priya, the AC is so loud. And I was like, and she has kind of an accent, so I was like, I can barely make out what she's saying. I understand her, but it was very difficult because the ambient noise was like really weirdly mixed because it was just under her voice, and her voice was already kind of difficult to key into anyway, so it was like really interfering. At the very beginning, did you have an issue when he had the mask on and he was like we live in a Twilight world, and I was like, what are you saying, bro?
At the beginning, I couldn't really hear nothing.
I was like, he was like, we live in a Twilight. He's like, we live in a Twilight world, and I was like, we live in a where? What is happening? Yeah, when he's talking through that mask, especially with the music, especially with the guns, I was like, no way I can hear any of this. I caught a little
It
bit of
was a
it.
mix. It was a mix. I think on purpose to where they like we want the explosion and stuff to be the real reason you watch this movie.
But
Because the story gonna be some bullshit. So we want everything else to.
I fully agree. I bet on a second watch when you're just not worried about it, that mix ain't gonna bother you much because you're like, I don't really care. But like I'm telling you, man, they was talking a lot, and sometimes it was like just the wind outside was like real loud, and everybody else was real low, and I was like, this is crazy. Especially remember when they were on the boat talking into the mics. I'm like, yo, what is going on? You know what I'm talking
about? Oh yeah, on the boat that was crazy.
I was like, yo, they talking through mics. It's literally sound like they're talking through mics, so it's hard to hear already. Yeah, they big tripping.
My favorite talking scene, one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when DeBicky and John David Washington was talking at the table for the first time, and they kept cutting back to like her getting beat and all that stuff, and the emotion
talking about her on the boat, right?
Yeah, I love that scene. I love how they were talking. And I was just like, it's just going too quick though.
Yeah, they was cutting into the dialogue too fast because it would be like they'd be like, so what happened to your husband? He did this to me, and I was like, dude, just give it a second, bro.
I was like, can you pause and look off for a second, like something, bro? Like,
it's obvious that they were cutting in the dialogue because it was like nobody speaks with this rapid succession. Just let it breathe. They're actors. Like let them pace the dialogue the way they need to. I don't know why he was rushing through that part because later on he doesn't rush the dialogue like that. It feels like a natural conversation, even though it's a bunch of like, we got to get the algorithm so that Sato doesn't end the world and all that nonsense. And then, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, when they was talking about their plan to like stop him, I was like, man, I don't know.
Now, the thing about when he was dying, did that bother you at all? Because when they said like, well, no, he's like, he has this thing on his wrist. He's like, he's the trigger. But why is he the trigger? And she was like, oh, he has pancreatic cancer. He's gonna die soon. I'm like, where'd that come from? So we can learn about this now. Like we could have set up like him coughing into a napkin or something, or like taking pills, like anything. Like all of a sudden he's gonna die soon. That made no sense to me at all. Also, he had the CIA pill, so I thought he was gonna take the pill and not die because they said the pill is not a real death. It's like a fake out. It makes you seem like you're dead, and then the CIA comes and scoops you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you remember at the beginning when John David takes the pill and he wakes up and he's like,
yeah,
the pill doesn't really kill you, bro. Like it's a fake. Like they're dummy pills. You feel like you're dead, and then you wake up like 2 days later. So I thought that was going to factor into the plot at all, but it didn't. So I was like, why have the pill? Why not just have a gun on hand to shoot himself in the face or something? You know what I mean? Like he didn't need the pill.
Maybe I missed it. What was the point of the symposium?
See, it was to get a part of the algorithm, but also that's why I was hoping you would know, because I was like, because the symposium happens at the same time they raid the Pentagon, or either right before. That all happens.
I think it's right before.
That's all the same day. The Pentagon, the not symposium, the auditorium, like that thing, the bread on the Pentagon place, and DeBicky on the boat, all happens on the same day. So I assume they were getting the final piece of the algorithm that day.
Wait. So it's algorithm, and when it also like what was that thing like 173 that they kept talking about?
That's a piece of the algorithm. There were 3/3 of the algorithm.
Yeah, and he broke it apart at the end and gave everybody a piece.
3/3. It was each. There were 3 separate pieces.
And I was like,
so he already had one. He got one from the auditorium, from the dude there. I guess he had it from the beginning, who John David was there to save. He had one for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe he was going back in time too. And then there was a third one that was being transported. Or maybe he already had 2. I don't fucking know. I have to watch it again. So
I'm gonna have to watch it again, but I'm not gonna pay money to do it. But
I mean, I really liked it. I'd probably go see it in the theater again if I could.
Would you want to see it?
I would watch it.
Yeah, I think you enjoyed it.
Because the second time I want to discuss. First time I had to watch it to just get all the information.
I have to watch it
Second
again
time,
just
I
to
want to be able to
understand.
pause and be like, all right, you see here, and
I'm gonna have to watch it
I can't
again to
believe you
get it.
didn't catch that. The most obvious thing in the movie was like that. To me, was Neil was the guy who helped him at the very beginning. Was the guy who got shot in the pit and was
Bro, I didn't see that.
well. You
I
don't
saw
see.
somebody get. I thought that was the dude he was with, Aaron Taylor Johnson. But then I saw him later on, and I was like, oh, okay. I just accepted it. Then I'm like, yeah, all right. I just don't get it.
I was
That's
like, it's very shocking to me. I'm like, why? Then why was he crying then? Like, if I didn't understand that bit, I'm like, why, my first thought would be like, why is dude crying? He gonna
I
see
thought he was
somebody.
crying because they was splitting up.
He's
And I thought he was just a bitch. I told you, bro. I thought he just cried.
no,
It's
he's,
just
he's crying because his friend
some
almost
some
died.
niggas just be crying. I ain't know.
He watched his buddy die. Also, that part could have been done better. I was like, why are you so close
Yeah,
up?
like, and
Like
they didn't
back
even
up.
wait. If he did die, they didn't even play it up in the moment. And I know
But
he had to keep fighting, but damn, at least like linger on it a little bit and show who it, like. And I know y'all said this, and they showed the little patch or whatever. But I mean, like, show his emotion. Like, if he just saw his friend die,
yeah,
like,
but
man,
they were. I don't, but at that point, he didn't know. He didn't know until he sees him about to go back in one more time, and he sees the little
yeah, yeah.
keychain on his
So,
back.
so if he ain't know, how I'm supposed to know?
Well, I'm saying by that point, when he sees the keychain the final time, you're supposed to be like, "Oh, that's Neil who got shot and who helped him at the very beginning."
I ain't know, bro. And
So
then it was some parts I just start thinking. I was like, what the fuck? And then like, oh wait, you gotta watch it.
what I think happens at the very beginning, Neil's final mission is he goes back a day, and he starts the day and he helps out John David at the opera house and make sure he doesn't get killed. Right? At the opera house, yeah, opera house. And then he goes back to the Pentagon later that day to set up the thing for to unlock the gate for them to get in. Right? But
Mm-hmm.
he ends up getting shot by other dude and is left there when it explodes. So he's gone. You know, it is what it is. I think
Overall, I'm gonna tell you the things I really liked. I like the music. I thought it was great.
the music is
I lo-
amazing. I listened to the soundtrack today, and it's just by itself is
the
beautiful.
the music is fire. I like
Yeah.
the acting a lot. Thought John David did really good. Thought Robert Pattinson was great, and I thought Elizabeth Bigger was really good. Kenneth Branagh was weird, and that's all I'm gonna just say that about him. I thought he was weird.
I like that.
Uh, I thought the Priya woman was really good too, for what she had, And Aaron Taylor Johnson was just there. So,
Nah, he was pretty good.
what else? I like the music. I love the fight scenes. I love the set pieces. I think that plane going into that building was amazing because that was a real plane. I was like,
Mhm.
that's fire. Uh, yeah, yeah, I liked a lot. I thought the editing was crazy. I thought it was weird. I thought the pacing was weird. Stuff happened very quickly. Um, what else? I didn't really. I thought the story could have been way more streamlined to be like just I thought you could get to point A to B much better than they did. But all in all, I like that movie. But like I said, I'm glad that my expectations were lower because I didn't want to see it as much. Because if this movie came out in July and there wasn't no pandemic, I would have been disappointed. But because my expectations fell, I was like, okay, this is good. It almost, I ain't gonna say it exceeded them, but I was like, okay, this is good. I do want Nolan after this, and I don't know when he's gonna come back. Probably like 3 years or something, 4 years, who knows? I do want him to just like go with like a linear story and go very narrative with it and just I want to see something different because this ain't Inception, right? It don't feel like Inception at all, but at the same time, it is in the vein of his other movies, and I would just love to see him get back to like something kind of just more simple, if that makes sense. I think he's one of those directors like you can find yourself doing too much,
Mm,
and it's like I'd actually like you to pull it back a little bit, and then I think it will be better for you. But I do like it though.
yeah.
What was your pros and cons for it?
Cons, I just think beginning moves too fast, and he just cuts out a dialogue a lot, really too fast, and he doesn't establish the world very well. I don't think. Um, yeah, mostly my issues are just basically the beginning and more of a confusion thing and speed thing. The beginning to where he meets, where he drops off Elizabeth Debicki on the boat, and then he invites him, and then she invites him to the dinner. But after that, I was pretty much good with it. You know, the stuff I didn't understand, I didn't really need to. I kind of got the gist of it, and I kept it moving. I thought the kind of like the chaos of like what was happening was like beautiful, and that was enough to keep me invested. I thought, like I said, I think this is Robert Pattinson's best performance. I love it. This is the kind of performance I love his performance in this so much that it's like on like you know how I always say like yeah Robert Pattinson's good but he don't got the kind of K-Stu performances that I love like the Cloud Ceiling.
Boy, he got way more K-Stu quote unquote than K-Stu does.
We ain't argue that. I'm just saying like for me I tend to prefer her work because I just prefer it. This is in the vein of the kind of stuff she's doing, and that's why I love this performance so much. It's very much like a human being having humanity. He definitely is giving the best performance in the movie.
He's the best part of the movie to me.
Yeah, for sure. I think John David's great. I think
so much so to the fact, and I'm going to cut you off. So much so, I was like, he needs to be in it more. It was a point in the middle where he wasn't in it, and I was like, "What are y'all doing?"
Yeah, that part was dragging. I'm not gonna.
I'm like, put Robert Pattinson back in this movie.
Yeah, he definitely was not in it. I was like, why isn't Robbie here? Why isn't Neil showing up? But
and then at the end when him and Debicki start talking, I was like, oh yeah. And them two need to be in a movie together where those are the two leads.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I think that'd be really good.
You know what's also very funny? Elizabeth Debicki is like 6'3", and she was wearing like 4-inch heels throughout this entire.
Oh man, she was taller than everybody.
She is giant in this movie. It is
huge.
And like, I remember someone saying about Widows. They was like, Widows is a great movie because it's the first movie that allows Elizabeth Debicki to be as tall as she is. Like when she hugs Viola, she's like towering over her, like a giant over like a small person. And in this, it's the same thing. There's a moment when, like, remember when John David and her were at dinner, and she's and then her husband's goons come in, and she's leaving so that they can beat him up, and he gives her, and like John David stands up to give her a kiss, and he has to like stand on his tippy toes, and lean down, and it's the height difference is out of control. She is so much taller than him, especially with the heels on too. I think she's already taller than him normal, but with the heels, it's just like he looks like a little boy.
Robbie Pat was the only one that was taller than her.
No, he is not taller than her.
Well, he's all no. Robbie Pattinson's tall.
He is not. He's not taller than Debicki.
Well, he was the closest.
Big dude in the kitchen still wasn't taller than her. She
Yeah,
walked by.
I remember that. I was like, yo, she is big as hell. Like she walked past him above. Her head is above his.
Yeah.
The heels set her over. Like
Jazz,
she was over enough.
And Jazz like
I was like, that bitch 17.
No, like you looked over. You like, how tall is she? Like, she big. I don't know how tall she is.
I knew she was tall because I remember her from Widows, but I just saw her like over to me, and I was like, how tall is she? I think she's like 6 feet, ain't it? Then
no, she's 6'3". Rob Pattinson's 6'1".
Just like stiletto.
Oh, she's 6'3". Yeah, she's huge.
Yeah, she had like so she was almost damn near 7.
Because John David was like 5'9", and he was just so small. And I know they tried to like frame it to where like it was almost even. It just ain't much you could do
at all, which is what I like. She at every given moment she was towering over him.
Well, I think it's like it's only so much you can do unless you put on some lifts.
Yeah, like Tom.
Yeah, like Tom Hardy as Bane, like, and they made him look almost as tall as old boy Christian Bale, and he had lifts on. So like, hey. That shit did the same, but I think Nolan was like, I don't care about that.
Right,
so.
like I'm trying to.
I mean, she is so.
She's just huge, bro. Huge,
tall lady. She is real tall. So pretty, man. But
that boy.
Hey, man. But yeah, I was just real shocked by how tall she was. Especially compared to everybody else. It was just that moment when he leans up to kiss her because she was wearing the heels and she had to lean down. It's just so funny. I laughed out loud. I was like, yo, she really got to lean down while he leans up.
Yeah, he had to reach up.
He did. You can see him straining to go. He was going up. His head tilted up, and she leaned down, like bent over. Man, she is a big person. But
that's pretty funny.
She's talking to everybody in that movie.
I do. Robbie Pattinson is my guy right now. Like anything he's in, I'm kind of gonna see it. Like, and he got that movie with Tom Holland. I bet he's the best part in that movie too.
I mean, Tom looks pretty good.
Tom looks like he's gonna have a lot to work with, but Robbie like he's gonna steal the show. He remind me of Paul Dano, just like Paul Dano. The two things I've seen, he's great. And Okja and what's the other one?
There will be.
Yeah, and There Will Be Blood. I'm like, damn, how you almost match Daniel Day? Like, that dude's crazy. And he gonna be the Riddler. But Robbie Pattinson kind of like that.
Paul Dano kind of gives a very similar, like Rob Pattinson type performance in this in Okja. He's really good in Okja. He's like
a little bit, yeah.
He's kind of like the leader of the Friends group. Okja's so good, bro. I love that movie.
Who else is in Okja?
Lily Collins, great. Stephen Yeun, shout out to Legend.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun, yeah.
He's great. Stephen Yeun, bro.
I still need to see Minari because they say he's great in it.
Yeah, but that'll probably be like Oscar push, so you ain't gonna see that for a minute.
I can find that mug somewhere.
I think Steve Yeun is like, he should have been a movie star by now. Like, he's prime, dude.
He's Asian.
You got to see Burning. Amazing.
I do. It's on Netflix. I be trying to get to it, but I be like, that's 2:30. Man.
I mean, it's long, but like his performance in that, next level. Steve Yeun really finna be the breakout from The Walking Dead, slick. But
finna be. He is. Who else breaking out?
Denai Guerrero.
Yeah.
She definitely finna blow up for real.
No, she's not.
When she start doing stuff other than just Black Panther, she gonna get real.
Well, she ain't, because they got Lupita for that. They ain't doing her.
They got one dark skinned lady.
Yeah, they don't do 2 or 3. They'll do 1. And Viola is your prestige, but like she's older, and Lupita is your prestige, but she's younger. So it's like, all right, cool. Like we ain't gotta have them fighting each other. But if Denai came in, she gonna be in direct competition with Lupita. So they like, no, we can't do that.
You know what I'm still bummed about? It's a crime that Debicki didn't get nominated for Widows. It's kind of a shame.
Is it really?
I think she's great in Widows, dude. I think her and Viola are like the standouts in that movie. Man, Widows is great.
So really good movie.
No, there was a few more things I want to just mention real quick off rip. Willie mentioned he thought that John David and Debicki should have hooked up, and I was like, yeah. Maybe.
I don't think so. No.
I would have been fine with that because the whole thing was they were playing up.
Well, we always want a black man to get with a white woman, so that makes sense. I didn't need that. I don't need to see every nigga get a white woman. If Robbie Pattinson and Debicki hooked up, I'd have been like, cool.
Not even 5'9". She's like 6'8" in those heels. She's like a good foot taller than that man.
Wow. I think you keep the romance out. You let her focus on getting her son to safety. I like that more than her hooking up with him.
I mean, that's another thing I think they could have added into the movie. I don't even know. I barely knew what her son looked like.
Like they did show him like 3 times.
There was no scene of them together having a conversation. Again,
well, they showed him a few times.
I mean, they were. You never heard that boy speak.
No, you never heard him speak.
But I mean, I think that again, once I see it again, I think it'll be like, oh, what Nolan is doing, and what I assumed he was doing before I even saw the movie was like, he's like, these are all the trappings of this type of movie, but I'm not gonna give you any of the emotional investment that you need. It's all gonna be about the like chaos of the visuals and like the kind of disorienting nature of like the mechanics of the plot and the sci-fi element. Because it's like it don't really matter because we don't know the kid, we have no emotional attachment. So do we care if she gets her kid back? Not really. It's more about like what she represents. Robert Pattinson has the most emotionally evolving story in the movie, especially at the end when you find out he's gonna die protecting like the guy who is essentially his mentor, but who doesn't know it yet, and eventually will find out based on mentoring him in the backwards direction, which I think is really compelling. Which also makes me be like, Nolan don't make sequels, but I would love to see a sequel where John David meets Neil and like it's the relationship,
Well, that's what Jazz said. She said they perfectly set it up to where like you could go back or forward and it would still be good.
He can get a trilogy out of this if he wants to.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will.
He's not gonna do it. I mean, he gonna leave it where it was and he's gonna do something else. I just think you need to. Whatever you.
I'm saying capitalize on it. I'm thinking from a money aspect.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of people come out of this and not liking it. I can see a lot of people not liking this movie, to be honest with you.
For sure. I do think Nolan is getting away with a lot of stuff other people would never get away with.
He's getting away with a lot of bullshit. I ain't gonna hold you.
If this movie came out and it was like directed by fucking Ryan Johnson, they would eat that man
Oh
alive.
my gosh, that'd be like the continuity, the narrative structure, all that
They would
bullshit.
eat that. All them YouTube comments was like, why Knives Out
The
works, but
Last
The Last
Jedi didn't
Jedi
make
doesn't.
sense.
All them type videos, they would be like, can you believe Ron Johnson made this? He obviously can't tell a story, but because it's Nolan, people are just gonna be like, well, it's he's doing all this. It's very deep. And again, I do think this movie is doing a lot of stuff where it's like on a meta narrative. Like, okay, people like Nolan because he makes stuff that's very specific and seems smart, but is also easy to understand within the confines of the movie. But it also has like a metatextual element to it. Well, this is a movie I think is you can only really engage with it on a pure visual sense, so the narrative really doesn't make sense, and in a metatextual sense where it's like it's not about what happens, it's about how what happens represents something else. You know, there's that great moment in Inception where he talks about essentially film editing, where he's speaking with where Cobb is talking with Ariadne, and he's like, "How did we get here?" You know what I'm saying? Remember that bit?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it makes the audience question, "Wait, how did they get into this cafe?" We just assume like how movies do, they edit. That we don't see them walk to the building, go inside, order a table, order some coffee, sit down. We just assume based on how editing works in movies that they at some point went to this place. But then the movie directly calls your attention to it, and now you're then engaged with, oh, editing is in a sense kind of like dream logic because we're jumping from one thing to the other. And I don't think Inception really has a lot to do with Tenet, but it's related in that way where he's essentially being like, look at what we're doing. All this information doesn't matter. It's hard to hear. There's way too much of it, and weirdly also not enough. So you will not fully understand what's happening as you're watching. So the point is, look at the visuals, look at the performances, and think about what they represent, like archetypal. Like, John David doesn't even have a name. He's meant to be like nondescript spy guy. And then you have Neil, his sidekick, who's like charismatic American dude. And then you have Elizabeth Debicki, which is like the femme fatale, betrays the bad guy. And then you have Sato, which is like the over-the-top Bond villain, who's like, I want to destroy the world because if I can't have it, no one will.
He liked that name too because there's somebody named Sato in Inception.
Exactly. And I think when you look at it from like, if you step back from like a bird's eye view, you see like he's not like trying to tell a story that works logically and is like satisfying on its own. He's telling like a larger thing about like commenting on something. But we won't figure that out until like people get to see it and see it again and again and talk about it. So same way like Interstellar. People now are like Interstellar is a masterpiece, but at the
No,
time,
I see a lot of people say they have problems with Interstellar.
but I see a lot of people also being like, well, it's a masterpiece because of this, and that. Even though at the time people were like, it's stupid, and I still think it's kind of stupid. But I think they're wrong because Dunkirk is a masterpiece. But I think I like Tenet a lot more than I like a lot of his movies, honestly. Though, if I'm being honest, I think I like Tenet more than I like Inception.
I don't agree with that at all.
I feel a lot of people probably won't.
But I think Inception is damn near perfect, and Tenet is very different.
Okay. I like Inception a lot.
No, you don't. You like shining them from the Ringer. They said it don't make sense. I bet they hated this. I gotta go back and listen to their pod about this now.
Did they watch it? I thought they didn't have theaters.
Yeah, because they had a top 5 Nolan movies and they talked about Tenet.
But I wonder how they saw it.
Probably in the theater, or they got a.
They don't have theaters in LA yet.
Yeah. They might have took the trip to Anaheim.
Or they went to Vegas.
Yeah.
But yeah, good shit.
Guys, go see it in the theater. Don't wear no mask.
Don't see it in the theater if you can't in a safe environment. But if you can,
don't wear a mask either.
But if you can guarantee to some degree guarantee a safe experience, I would recommend it. But if not, no use risking your life to see a movie.
Yes, it is. It's a big risk.
Apparently, it's fairly cheap to rent out an entire theater. So if you want to do that, you can. Cheaper than you'd think, not cheap in general. But it rocked, you know what I'm saying? I really, really liked it.
Did you?
Yeah, score especially was just that's the song Sato, the actual song called Sato, is gorgeous. There's some of the stuff in some music in the music in the final battle scene on the Pentagon place was like, I don't know what's happening.
Oh
A lot of stuff
no,
exploding
no.
backwards, forwards, people running around. Love it. Also, I know I effed up because I was watching that debriefing scene where Aaron Taylor Johnson was explaining what was happening and why the B team was there and not there. You know, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And I zoned out for a second, and I was like, "Damn it! Now I don't know nothing what's happening."
I think that kept happening to me. I think I think about Dune too much.
I was locked in for most of the movie, and by the end, I was like, "Yo, can we get to the fighting?" And then I just kind of, it was only a second, and I was like, "Wait, dang, wait, what? Who's going where?" Blue team backwards, red team forward. But like,
And that's a movie you have to pay attention.
but also, I don't think any of that really matters. It's just about the visuals anyway.
It ain't about no. I think he wanted to be deep.
I don't think so. I mean, I think the final reveal is kind of silly. I'm like, "Oh no, it's Robert Pattinson." I was like, "Yeah, that's Doctor Who. I know."
You know what I really think? I think he had a black lead, and he was like, "Man, I'm not trying hard on this one."
Stop it.
He said, "I got a nigga as a movie good, and now everybody can't say I don't do black people,
I do
but
think
damn sure I ain't finna take it seriously."
I do think there's an interesting. I'm sure somebody's probably written about it already, but like an interesting thing about like how John David is literally the only black person in this movie. There are no black people other than John David Washington.
Oh, he said we got Priya, she brown shit.
Priya is like off on in a tower somewhere. Like every dinner, every meeting, all it's just John David and a bunch of whites. And I think that's intentional beyond just like, oh, John David's the best actor for the job. I think he's an aesthetic thing. I think he's trying to make him
Well,
stick out.
Nolan know what kind of climate he in. He needed a nigga.
But also, people get on Nolan about the way he writes women. And some people are like, well, Nolan thinks that this is how you write women. The Elizabeth Debicki character is like, yeah, Maul is just like a vision that comes and fucks stuff up. But at least he gave Elizabeth Debicki a motivation. But even
Well,
then,
you could say she's a bad mother.
but even I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff like the dead wife trope and all that stuff, people get too hung up on. Like, I don't really care if you don't write
Nah,
women.
you a feminist. You gotta stand with them always.
I mean, like, I don't particularly care if he writes women well or not. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you don't even like him like that. So.
I mean, it just don't matter. Like with Martin Scorsese, I've just come to know the fact, like, oh, he just don't write movie about black people. Black people just don't exist in his world, or at least aren't centered in his world or of his movies. And
That's an 80-year-old man from where is he from? Brooklyn or Queens or where he from?
I think he's from Brooklyn.
He from Brooklyn. That nigga was around Italians. He was around no mullions and eggplants.
Okay.
That's what they call him.
Okay, but he ain't got to call. Well, I'm just saying, like, that's not so. I don't expect it. I'm not mad if he don't. I just at a certain point, I'm just like, yeah, okay. He just don't do that, and I'm not gonna look for him to do it. I'm just gonna enjoy what he gives me, and that's kind of how I am with Nolan. Maybe if you're a woman and you like want to be, or you want to see yourself represented in a Nolan type movie, then I get it. But otherwise, I'm just like, I'm not gonna speak for them. Though they can feel how they want to feel. It don't really matter to me at the end of the day.